let's start by introducing yourselves a bit for those members of the audience who are not yet familiar with you. Go ahead.
Sure. Morning, everyone. I'm John. I'm the VP of Product at Hyvä. I'm also a board member of MageOS. Been working with Magento for nearly 10 years. No, over 10 years.
Maciej Kalkowski, I'm board member of MageOS, and I run a company who is a managed service provider for Magento and e-commerce solutions.
Hey everyone, I'm Jakub Wilkler. I'm from Poznań, from the same city as Maciej. I've been doing Magento for over 12 years now. I run my own small agency. I still keep my hands dirty with the code. I like to code. So happy to give a small talk on the technical track. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Ivan. I'm one of grandfathers, let's say, of Magento. You don't see it by my hair, but you can trust me, I am. I'm doing performance consultancy, and I also do trainings for developers around Magento. I work a lot with agencies and merchants, so that's my point of the things. And from open source part, I did a lot of contributions to Magento and been part of Magento original core team. So I know how it works. And now I also support a lot of stuff with MageOS.
Okay, thank you. So, for the first question, how do open source technologies help business? What's the role of open source in our business world in general?
Okay, I can answer that question. So, in general, you can consider, let's say, proprietary. Oh, damn. I'm not waking up yet, sorry.
Not open.
Not open software is something that only your business knows, let's say, or you receive it from some other company with a license. You cannot have someone else to look into it. And one of the examples of actually a closed source software being big issue, take a look at recent issue with Global Protect with VPN, right? When they introduced some kind of a check there that was possible basically to completely run remote code execution on firewall where you trust this proprietary closed source software. I have to learn this word, you know. I have an allergy for this kind of software, so I just cannot pronounce it. But in general, yeah, you can see that there is an inherent security risk when you don't see a lot of people looking at your code and finding security vulnerabilities. So open source, you might see, for instance, with open source software, like, hey, look, there are so many security vulnerabilities found and reported, but what you don't realize, there are so many of them unreported that are used by hackers to hack into closed source software. So it's just more visibility with open source software because more people look into it and more people fix it. So I would say one of the biggest benefits of open source software is that you have much more diligent community of people who can monitor whatever happens there.
Yeah, I would extend this to the different point of view because you looked at it rather technical, which is true. And the response of the community usually to any bug in the software is way faster than when it's closed source. So open source for sure technically is like leading in that field. But the other side is the business. You asked about business side. So for me, open source gives stability and safety for business. Because brings it like not directly, but you cannot easily vendor lock a company when it's an open source, because the merchant may easily either grow with expanding his own team together with the agency, may look for the other agency that brings better value or better quality. So from this point of view, we all know that the internet is based on open source solutions right now, meaning not even like the e-commerce part, but even the core of the internet, the BGP that it's in the internet traffic, all the solutions there are based on open source. So it's actually the stability of what we have is probably mostly due to open source, because with closed source, we could be easily controlled. I mean, we as the community, as the society. So from my point of view, open source is really, really important for the market, for humanity even.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and something that I want to add to this. As you remember, like there was issue with Elasticsearch when it changed its license. Right away, there was a community of people that brought OpenSearch to the market. When Redis said, hey, we are not anymore open source, we are like source available license, then Linux Foundation decided to introduce Valkey as an alternative based on a fork. So like, even if some company decides that there is some widely used open source product, everyone can fork it and everyone can actually build on top of it. So it's a power of open source that even if original maintainer decides, okay, I'm not gonna support it anymore, there is someone else who will pick it up.
So it's almost like if once it's open source, then it can remain open source forever, even if the original contributors decided not to. Okay, that's great. Of course, all of us have been in the Magento community for over 15 years. How did we see it change and improve over the past years?
I think probably the key thing is it hasn't changed too much. There's still a lot of the same people. There's lots of new faces too, which is great. But the community is still really vibrant. There's still lots of activity. There's the open source push of innovation is still there. Obviously, there's different topics now from 10 years ago. You mentioned the AI stuff at the start, but I think that obviously COVID was a difficult period for everybody being online and not having in-person events, and it's taken a year or two to kind of get back to normality, if you like, but I think we're definitely in a good place right now in terms of the community as a whole in the Magento ecosystem.
Yeah. Jakub, want to say?
Yeah, not sure what I can add to John, but what you can see is we got the positive energy back in the community. Obviously, some of this was, let's say, ruined by COVID, because we like the meetings, we like getting together, share ideas. We try to do it online, we have Zoom meetings and sharing ideas, but it's not the same as getting back together and actually doing stuff, right? We got MageOS, which is basically, well, in my opinion, was like the biggest spark in the community. We got people coming back to Magento. So I personally think we're at the same place where we were before COVID with the community, and we're growing stronger than before.
I would also like to add to that over the years, it was more like roller coaster. With Magento 1, it was like growing, and then with Magento 2, we had a little bit of a downward trajectory. But now with Hyvä and with MageOS, it's growing again. And I see so many stores and so many examples where people actually migrate, let's say, from Shopware or from Shopify back to Magento, because it's always greener on other pastures, right? But then you realize, yeah, Magento is actually impossible to beat in specific customizability of your solutions.
Yeah, after COVID, like you could feel that there are turbulences generally in the world, meaning that all the meetings were canceled. The community grows through meetings, through in-person relations, because you may find one thing here on the stage, but you may ask whoever presented you on the backstage, you may ask about their opinion, you may extend the presentation. So the community grows through conferences, through meetups, and everything was canceled. So I was actually a little aware, seeing that Shopware got investment, Shopify grows, and like what will happen to Magento community? But I believe it's gonna grow and it's gonna get back to where we are right now, because like right now we have a lot of Magento events happening around the world, meaning around the world like it happened before. So meaning Asia, Europe, US. So from my point of view, community is strong, get back to it was, or even maybe stronger, even in these hard times right now. So it's rather a positive view to see, guys, you here. We're gonna have Meet Magento Poland in September. So I'm really happy to see it.
Yes. People in general are much more positive in person than they are on Twitter. So glad to have everybody back in person.
Yeah, we smile a lot more here than when comparing to when we sit in front of computer.
On Twitter, we only complain.
Yeah. So you mentioned MageOS. What is it in a few words, and why was it needed?
John, start.
You get the easy ones.
Yeah, the easy questions. So MageOS was founded almost 3 years ago now, initially. Sorry. What's going on there? Technical issues. Sorry.
That's Adobe calling.
Right, sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah, about 3 years ago, it was at the time, I guess, yeah, we were obviously in the middle of COVID or coming out of COVID, reaction to the, I guess at that point it didn't feel quite as secure, the future of Magento. So a group of us kind of banded together and thought about what the future might look like and what we might need to do. So I think one of the key points of Magento is it is an open source platform, like Ivan mentioned earlier. Like people can fork it if they need to. One of the key elements of Magento that wasn't open source was the packaging and distribution, how you install it via Composer. So that was one of the key missions initially to create an open source version of that. So we have this, it's almost like a security policy, if you like, but that's not really right here, right now, our key focus. We're actually quite reassured with, in terms of the stability of Magento open source, Adobe looking after it, continue to provide security updates and things like that. So at the moment, the kind of the two key points of MageOS right now, our goals for this year at least, are one, to bring some kind of technical innovation back to the product. So we've got plenty of people contributing and adding new things on top, and we hope many of those will actually make it back to Magento open source, but we kind of see ourselves as like a technical kind of incubator innovation place for that to happen. And then the second part is around the Magento brand awareness and basically marketing. So obviously Adobe are more focused on their Adobe Commerce product, not really pushing Magento as a brand, and that's where we want to try and help there, and we're doing that in collaboration with the Magento Association, so with people like Maciej, who can't be here sadly. But yeah, so that's the kind of the two key aims.
So,
I think the thing that John mentioned about collaboration with Magento Association, so for MageOS, it's not the idea that, okay, we are completely something different. We actually want to contribute back to Adobe and Magento itself as a platform. We don't want to be a completely divergent system, you know, like that goes own direction. We want to bring back innovation and improvements back into the main product.
From my point of view, MageOS is the ideal organization that is needed right now for the whole concept of e-commerce around Magento. Because on the map we have a huge frigate Adobe that like sets sail for one direction and goes there, and it's not easy to manage such company and to manage everything that is around it. Magento Association is association that originated in Meet Magento Association and represents community, but more in the way it was for many years, and keeps this history, keeps the track which was set many years before. And MageOS like complies, extends this this whole concept, this map, with values and directions the same as Magento Association, but in a way that is more open source, that everyone can join and have exactly the same equal vote in MageOS as everyone that is there right now. We have no ties to any brands, to anything, so it's more open. It's more open for anyone to any new ideas. Everyone can enter financial statuses or strategy meetings, content meetings. So it's more like open source idea. So we have like 3 levels, and each and every level is really important and necessary for us right now to coexist and to make our goals, to make stronger impact with our goals, from my perspective at least.
Yeah, from the technical point of view, you can think of MageOS as a thing that was always missing, right? A place for innovation where we as a community get together, share ideas, share our code. There are weekly meetings on Tuesdays at 3 p.m.
Central European time.
Central European time,
Oh, yeah.
where we share what we are working on. And yeah, it's a place for innovation that, in my opinion, was missing for Magento.
Yeah, just add we have multiple weekly meetings. We have the content marketing one on a Monday at I think 4 p.m. CET. But yeah, we've got technical as well. And the Monday one is in collaboration with the Magento Association. But yeah, just one other point, just kind of building on what Maciej just said in terms of the MageOS. We're community owned and run, so we don't have any shareholders, we don't have any investors. The end goal isn't to sell it to somebody else. Like, it's here to stay in the hands of the community forever.
And MageOS also lives on contributions. So there is a lot of companies that contribute. There is a lot of individual contributors. I contribute myself personally from my personal bank account. Yearly, I contribute to MageOS, and MageOS is quite healthy in that sense.
So, to summarize, maybe we encourage you guys to participate both in Magento Association and MageOS, because they share common goals from MageOS strategy point of view, because I was involved in setting the strategy for MageOS. The goal in which Magento Association grows is one of the goals for us, because the whole concept is to support Magento community, not like to be against anything or to preserve something that right now is in jeopardy, but for our point of view is like to make Magento community strongest possible. So if it brings value to Adobe, it's great. And making Magento stronger brings value to Adobe, brings value to Magento Association. So we share the common goals. We just do it from different point of views, from different, let's say, parameters set. And what is really interesting is that the MageOS membership, the one that gives you voting rights, costs just 10 euros per year for personal memberships. We said it's so low. It wasn't zero, because then everyone would join and we would have mess. And we couldn't even set who's the member, who's not the member anymore, because we need to track the IDs of people. It's the voting rights, so it's really it's formalities side. But 10 euros is low enough for everyone around the world to join, because from what I know, every developer can afford 10 euros. A year. So yeah, it was also a problem, like how to set the membership among different countries, in which you have different purchasing power. But 10 euros seemed low enough for everyone.
Yes, indeed.
And the most important thing, there is different levels of memberships, but you don't receive more votes. So you have the same power when you join MageOS as you pay 10 euros or 1,000 euros per year in your contributions. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, sounds good. Now, of course, Adobe is a commercial company, and they are developing the product in a commercial direction, which is quite normal. So what is the role of Adobe in the community in our open source project?
So, in my opinion, I'm not representing Adobe, so I don't work for Adobe, but in my understanding, community for Adobe is something that can grow into potential Adobe Commerce customers and Adobe Experience customers too. So as soon as you have a merchant that, let's say, grows from $1 million a year in revenue to 20 million to 200 million a year on Magento community, then they might want to switch to Adobe Commerce to use all these nice tools that Adobe has on offer, right? So in my opinion, for Adobe, it's a good idea actually to nurture the community and encourage innovation. And that's why Magento Association actually works with MageOS in order to facilitate this kind of conversation. So we are not like going against the wind, I would say.
From my point of view, Adobe already brought value to Magento, giving more visibility. Adobe is a brand, that common known brand. Everybody knows their product from many different products. So knowing, like when merchants decide which platform they want to use, having Adobe brand attached to Magento is actually good for all of us. So this is one side of this picture for me, but the other is that maybe the role of Adobe also should be to preserve Magento and to assure that Adobe is happy that Magento exists. Adobe is such a big company that maybe they don't even have enough time sometimes to take care of everything. For sure, you know how it's in business. It's always rush and many goals, but Adobe is already here and already bringing value. We just don't see it because it's already there, and it's like an axiomat for us. So, so from my point of view, Adobe did their job, and maybe assuring that they are happy about Magento growth would be the best thing they could do.
Yeah, I think I'll just add from they're already continuing to keep the software up to date, supported security patches, all that stuff. We've got Parole, who's doing a great job with the community maintaining type stuff with the pull request system. But yeah, the key thing they can continue to keep doing is supporting the Magento Association. Maciej is still making a lot of changes there, which is good. But through the Magento Association, kind of having the kind of the keys to the Magento brand, if you like, is we're able to, like, one of the joint things we're working on with the marketing and content is to bring back a MagentoOpenSource.com type website. So just being able to do things like that is a good move from Adobe's point of view, in my opinion.
Right. Well, Matthias unfortunately couldn't make it here, so instead of him presenting the updates from Magento Association, I'm going to ask you, what do you think the role of Magento Association is in the community? What do you see it should do next?
I think it's kind of, as I said, the next big thing is to bring back that Magento site, but overall it's to bring the community together. It's, like I say, Adobe are not blocking or stopping us from doing anything, but they're equally not actively marketing the product. So the biggest thing that they can do and get all of us together, including MageOS, is to market the product better to merchants and the wider e-commerce ecosystem. That's the goal, really, as far as I see.
Yeah, I believe it was Matthias who said, like, divided we're stronger, regarding Magento Association and MageOS going like two separate ways. So it's actually very encouraging to see that Magento Association and MageOS are going the same way. They share the same goals, they share the same values. But I believe that Magento Association should really focus on bringing back the Magento brand, the Magento open source domain, because let's be honest, we built some of us our lives around Magento brand. So I would like to see it back.
15 years we've been quite attached to it.
Well, Magento Association is doing already a lot. Having so many Magento events right now is a proof that we are sitting here right now, is a proof that Magento Association did their job. So I would say do more of actions and activities towards this direction to bring events back, to encourage community members, maybe leading community members, because it's hard to generally encourage all the community members to do something, but leading community members, the guys who organize conferences, who organize meetups, who do presentations for free on the meetups, because on the conferences it's usually tied to a business goal, but on the meetups it's just rather a community thing that they do for just I don't know, to share. It's a good activity, but it's not always directed into business. So encouraging that kind of activities by Magento Association is for sure one of the goals that it should do. And well, Matthias should know, should say probably a little bit more. I don't know what are actually the current directions of Magento Association, but what I know is we have a feeling, we have like chemistry between our organizations. After Meet Magento New York, it's John. It was you who discussed with Matthias, or it was other board member who discussed how we should cooperate, and at least there are some thoughts and ideas that could work, from what I know.
Another proof that meeting in person is better than on Twitter, more productive.
Another one, right.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.